All right, I'm going to call this Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting to order. It is September 18th, 2025. We're going to have a fantastic presentation. But first, courtesy of the floor, anybody wish to speak to the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting? Seeing none, we have a presentation on the Skatine Conservation Area Acquisition Project. So I'm not sure if, Sherry, if you'd like to come up and get us started on this, that'd be great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that introduction. Sherry Acevedo, I'm the Conservation and Open Space Coordinator with Northampton County Parks and Recreation. And what we're here to talk to you about tonight is one of our newest acquisition projects. Let's make sure. Oh, I went too far. Okay. This acquisition is focused within the Monocacy Creek watershed. It's a beautiful watershed that encompasses over 50 square miles in both counties, in Northampton and Lehigh counties, and it ends and meets into the Lehigh River in the city of Bethlehem. Beautiful watershed filled with abundant wildlife. One of our biggest goals that we try to focus on, as you're seeing here within like the city of Bethlehem and the Lehigh River, we're trying to keep as much forested areas and riparian buffer areas as possible. A greenway is a corridor of open space, and that can include for human use, for wildlife use, it could be green space, but it's a combination that has the mobility, but also the protection parameters within that. One of our biggest partners that we have is the Monocacy Creek Watershed Association, dedicated group of volunteers that have been partnering with Parks and Recreation in our existing conservation areas along the Monocacy Creek for many, many years. They have worked with our county park staff at Archibald Johnston Conservation Area, at our Gertrude Fox Conservation Area, and our Monocacy Meadow. They have provided in kind, what we call as volunteer labor, towards planting the perennials, planting trees, planting shrubs to create those riparian buffers, in addition to stream bank restoration work that you can see in the bottom pictures. That's them actually at the Gertie Fox Conservation Area. There was a lot of significant and steep slope erosion that was going on, so they came up with and helped provide some solutions towards that. So it's an extensive partnership, along with the Woodland Trail Development. So not only do they do the physical labor, they also provide the education and outreach. So they conduct hikes, they have tours, they have educational signage that they come up with, helping support what that language would be. So we're very blessed to have that partnership. Here you can see is an overview of our current existing 22 parks and conservation areas, over 2,300 acres that we manage under the supervision of Brian Cope, our park superintendent, and our public works director with Michael Amelie. The three areas that are connected and closest to this, as you could see, our parks are well throughout the county, are the Archibald Johnston Conservation Area, the Gertrude Fox, and also the Monocacy Meadow. We have a direct connection with this property to our Monocacy Meadow. So our goal and our intent, as you can see throughout the county and along the watersheds, is that connectivity of the greenway to keep getting those pieces so that way we can make those connections happen, add in some trails. I wanted to showcase some of the existing projects that have been done and completed within the past few years. This is at Archibald Johnston Conservation Area. If you've ever been down there previously, you can see the new enhancements, especially with the repaving of the trails. It is gorgeous. Still lots of wildlife, lots of birds that are down there. There was a removal of 2 low-head dams and former infrastructure that was very channelized, so that way it can kind of restore the natural flow of the stream. Instead of the stream being very stagnant, it now has where it's going over riffles, and it's cooler. It cools down the temperatures of the stream, those types of effect. Bring back the wild trout populations, which the Monocacy is known for over the years. So a combination of different techniques within a 1 mile stretch, so that way there was in-stream habitat improvements and also on the banks. And you can see that in the pictures, like the picture down on the bottom left, you can see where the ripples are for some of the in-stream habitats, and then the bank anchoring, and then on top of the bank, some of the restoration. A lot of people that are out there actively using it. They were as even, you know, the connections were being made with these improvements and these enhancements. In the Monocacy Meadow, these are pictures that literally were just taken within the past few weeks. The meadow is blooming, beautiful perennial native flowers with warm season grasses. There was a reconstruction. One of the features in this project at Monocacy Meadow is what we call a permeable parking lot. And the whole purpose of that is to use a combination of what's called geotextile with stone and different layers. So that way, when the stormwater comes in, it doesn't just lay on the parking lot or wash off, it permeates and it filters through before it goes into the stream. Conversion of the wildflower meadow, as you can see, it's thriving. Lots of different insects that were out there as well, lots of pollinators, again, bird species. All of this helps to enhance the soil and the water quality improvements. Fishing access, people do fish down there. Same thing with our Gertrude Fox Conservation Area. What happens is, as these improvements happen, it improves the stream health. And then fish populations increase. Cardinal flower, one of these native plants that's wetland species, we all get very excited when we see those types of species come back. And we do have that within this conservation area. The volunteers are extensively out monitoring the trails, helping keep them clean for people because it's more of a woodland trail. It's not a paved trail at this area. Lots of shrubs. They do live plantings. You can see some of that in the pictures of the transition of it from where it was eroded to now how it's stabilized. Continuing with this project called the Skatine Conservation Area, being consistent within our own system. This acquisition, the property is within mainly Lower Nazareth Township. It exists along, is this is a pointer? I don't think so. Okay. It exists along the Monocacy Creek and Nazareth Pike. It's 6.9 acres that we're looking at. But as you can see, the direct connection to our Monocacy Meadow, and then heading north, Hans Meadow Park, which is a Lower Nazareth Township preserve as well. So here again, trying to make these connections of solving the pieces of the puzzle to make sure that we get this greenway and a continuous greenway. That's what's very important. Within our regional connections, we also have the Hausnick Memorial Park that's in Bethlehem Township. That's another area as a connectivity that also connects with our Archibald Johnston Conservation Area and the Monocacy Way Trail within the city of Bethlehem, as they keep making in their phases the different improvements along their trail system, as you can see in the photo. At the Hausnick Memorial Park in the middle, you can see that's native milkweed, which is very important for our butterfly species of the monarch and for the beetles and for other insects with their warm season grasses and their wildflower meadows that you can see. Within this project for the Skatine Conservation Area, we want to complete the fee simple acquisition so that way it would be inclusive. It would be our 24th park and conservation area within the Northampton County Park System, 6.9 acres. And it includes a single-family residence with detached dwellings. And this would be part of our conservation areas. We'll permanently protect this land along the Monocacy Creek to allow for fishing access and for passive recreation opportunities. It gives us some opportunities for riparian buffer restoration, any type of wildlife habitat. There's nice stand of woodlands that exist, which is wonderful. So anything we can do to enhance that with the habitat improvements. Plenty of opportunities for environmental education and for our programming. We run a lot of programs throughout the year, bird hikes, water quality with the macroinvertebrates, a lot of different things as options, including scientific research. So that's part of our goals that we have, is to continue that education project, especially within the Monocacy Creek watershed. The appraised value came in, it's $485,000, and that is the purchase price that the landowners have accepted, that we have a signed agreement of sale from the landowner. And our next step is presenting to you tonight this opportunity as a recommendation for approval to authorize the proceeding forward for the final execution of the agreement of sale. And then we can proceed with our last steps in our due diligence and then proceed towards closing. Our funding source would be from our existing OSI environmentally sensitive. Here you can see more pictures is just the beauty. It literally is adjacent to Monocacy Creek. And at one time, the family had even said that they've seen a bald eagle that was nearby. So as you see these pristine areas and you see these little pockets for wildlife habitat, it's really nice to see those indicators, because that's a truly positive indicator of a healthy watershed. And that's something that we like to see. Here is our timeline that we have. We're in the due diligence process as well of what we're finalizing with the survey and the title search. And then we anticipate a December closing with approval. So by the end of the year, this would be closed and the property would be transferred and under the ownership then of Northampton County. What we're looking at for potential uses and management of this, again, due to the authorization of parks and public works into our existing system, lots of opportunities, trails, bird watching, this passive recreation, environmental education programming. We could do some ecological restoration as well as far as stream bank stabilization. So we have internal planning that we'll have to go through once the property is owned, and there's a lot of steps that are inclusive with that. But lots of good opportunities for us as we have in our existing systems, and we've demonstrated successful practices with. One of the things, too, is a new report that's still in draft form that we've conducted this year is the Northampton County Return on Environment. People always look at what's the value when you look at our ecosystems. And the consultant team looked at and provided, I'm not going to read them all to you, but when you look at how these environmental benefits offset regular stormwater infrastructure costs or other range of services, it's really pretty significant when you look at the millions of dollars in savings into the green infrastructure and into open space. In addition to the outdoor recreation, that generates income as well because of the goods and the services of people buying the products. They need equipment, they are looking for places to eat, to sleep, all those types of things. We have lots of good outdoor recreation within the county. Walkability to parks, this is huge. A lot of people, as they're coming in, or even existing residents, love to be and want to be within 10 minutes of their home. So that way they don't have to necessarily have a car. They could walk, they could bike to a trail system. So we're seeing like more than 50% of the people with that willingness. Same thing with the economic benefits for the healthcare costs. As we all know, the health benefits and the wellness is huge with open space to offset some of those healthcare costs on an annual basis, especially for the region. Putting that into practice, our own county wellness program and wellness committee, I helped lead a walk with them at Archibald Johnston Conservation Area on the new trail, and it was just, they were so excited. It was really nice to spend the morning with them and go out. Between us as staff, There are monthly walks that are conducted in partnership with Parks and with our Wellness Committee. So it's really nice as employees that we're out doing this of what we're promoting as well. And with that, I thank you for the consideration and for the opportunity.
Thank you. Great presentation, as always, Sherry. You
Thank
always do a
you.
great job. Are there any questions for Sherry by the committee at this point?
So that'll be part of our planning process that we'll be engaging in, because we always do like a management plan and a site plan. It could be anything from opportunities of environmental education as far as programming.
There's no plans of demolishing the house, correct?
No. Nope.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this time? No. The only other question I would have, Sherry, is that I know within the watershed, in terms of various projects, over many years, the volunteers that you had mentioned, is this something where we're going to need more volunteers, or is that volunteer base going to need to expand to keep maintenance?
Volunteers, we're always looking for volunteers, and our watershed associations are always doing the same thing. Just because with people's lives, with work schedules, everything like that, some of the dedicated volunteers may not always have the time if the projects that are aligning are available during that time frame. So it's just part of the overall volunteer effort to constantly have, volunteer help and assistance and partnership.
I ask just
so.
because we have such a robust programming with
Yep.
regard to these initiatives, and we have limited staff, of course. And
Correct.
that's why I asked.
Yep.
Because we're continuing to do really good things
Yep.
in this space, and want to make sure that we continue to do it. Volunteer base is going to absolutely be necessary, I think.
Absolutely.
So that's
Yep.
why I asked the question.
Nope, and I appreciate that. And it's true, we do have a good base, and we always build upon that
Right.
to increase.
Okay.
And that'll be helpful.
All right. Anybody have anything else? All right. Well, we will. I thank you very much.
Thank
Sherry,
you.
And we will adjourn this